I'm going to post this on my Insta story so people come.
All right. Welcome to At Even Strength. This is an all-access pass to women's hockey brought to you by Black Rosie Media. Whether you're a longtime fan, a player, just discovering the women's game, At Even Strength brings you the smart, honest, and passionate coverage women's hockey you deserve. And my name is Rachel Donner. I'm a co-host of At Even Strength. Our fearless leader and queen, Erica L. Ayala, is in Milan Cortino covering the games and won't be with us on this show, but will be on future shows. I am here with Preston Huntington, founder of Czech Women's Hockey Report, to help break down this USA versus Czechia game. Also joined by the one and only Ava Wood, aka 365 Hockey Girl on TikTok and Instagram. Always a pleasure to talk to you both. I've talked to you both separately. This is the first time I've had the two of you together on a show. Love to see that. Good first day of the women's hockey tournament in Milan there. We're going to mostly be talking about USA versus Czechia that just finished. Of course, we also saw Sweden defeat Germany 4-1, a similar score, same score for Italy over France, which was kind of fun, given that Italy is in the lower division, right? We love to see that. And sadly, Canada versus Finland postponed to February 12th because of a norovirus going around Team Finland. Not great. Hope they all feel better soon. But yeah, that was a bit of a surprise there that they officially decided to postpone that game. But let's dive right into USA versus Czechia. Of course, 5-1, the final score there. Ava, let's start with you in terms of expectations going into this game and the tournament versus what you saw in that game.
Yeah, so my frame of reference for this one was like that 2-1 semifinal game in the 2025 Women's World. And like, I know a lot of people coming in to watch the Olympics maybe don't watch women's hockey all the time. And because I'm American, the broadcast is always like rah, 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 America. It's always focused on Canada versus USA. So I was just really hoping for Czechia to like have a really strong game similar to the one from the World Championships. Obviously, this is different because it's group stage. There's honestly like less stakes in this one. But yeah, honestly, even though I'm American, I was rooting for Czechia. I wanted this to be a close game. I know the final score 5-1 doesn't seem close, but I definitely think for viewers watching it, it was like, okay, like, yeah, it's a lopsided score, but like Czechia had their opportunities. I still think Czechia overall looked good, and they could definitely even do better like in the knockout stage against the US.
Yeah, so Preston, the same question to you about Czechia, given that is your perspective that you're looking at this game from. Like, what were your expectations coming into the game versus what you saw?
Yeah, and first off, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think, we talked about this before we started the show, right? Like, we didn't want to, I don't think there's any room to panic. That game was definitely closer than I think the scoreline and the shot totals indicated. Ava mentioned the 2-1 World Championship game, and I thought that game was, it's hard to like come from that and then benchmark off of that going into the Olympics. But we all know that, worlds happen every single year. The Olympics is total different animal. It's totally different. So for us, the expectation I think was that the USA's pace and their depth, that was going to make teams like ours have to defend for long stretches. That's not any different than what it's been for the last couple of years. But I think the real question for us is, because of the bigger stage, can Czechia survive without panicking, and can they create enough chances to kind of make it a little uncomfortable for the USA? And I think for all intents and purposes, they did that. I think actually in the first period, I thought Czechia actually looked pretty composed. I thought I saw some good play from some of their non-star players. They looked composed. They looked like they were ready to come and compete. So I think overall, just from expectations wise, I think the team is in a really good place, despite the what looks like to be a lopsided scoreline.
Yeah, and as we saw in that first period, there was almost 7 minutes where USA did not get a shot on goal. And I think That speaks to a couple of things, at least from my perspective, in terms of Carla McLeod, head coach of Team Czechia, obviously super familiar with all the players out there. As head coach of the Ottawa Charge in the PWHL, like she knows the Team USA backwards and forwards, right? And so she's able to set up a defensive scheme for Team Czechia that really works to their strengths in terms of shot suppression, especially.
Yeah, I thought they're. Oh, sorry, Ava, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Carla McLeod really quick. I think we're all aware like what's going on. You know, she has breast cancer, and okay, I'm sharing too much of my personal life here right now, but my mom actually has breast cancer too, and you know she's currently recovering from that. And I just think it's so special to see her out there on the bench. And I mean, she's an amazing coach, and I think that story just adds so much to it. So I just want to give a shout out to Coach Carla.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we all have people in our lives that have been touched by cancer in some way, shape, or form. It really does permeate into a lot of different people's lives, and I think she's got so much support behind her, which is amazing to see. And I'm really happy with the outpouring of support we've seen from like the Czech Ice Hockey Association too, and like everyone behind her on the Czech national team side. So I know they're rooting for her. I know they want to give her a good result. I know they're pushing for her. So.
Yeah.
I was just going to really quickly say too, to really quickly piggyback off what you were saying, Rachel. I really do think the big positive for us is that we showed that we can really create some chances against a team like the United States, right? You've got Teresa Plosova, who almost scores on the post. You've got Natalie Malinkova, who I thought was really, really engaging the entire game. She had so many great chances in that game and was setting up chances. She's the one that created the breakout pass to Barbara Yudrzikova on the breakaway goal after the penalty kill. Like those goals matter because I think it shows that like they're still competing despite the score line. They're not one to just kind of lay down and give up. I thought Daniela Peshova, Boston Fleet defender, I thought she stood out pretty good defensively. She was making physical plays. Aneta Taylorova, when she was getting into it with Abby Murphy, like even when it's 5-1 or like 4-1 at that point, like they're not going to quit. They're not going to give up the fire, and they didn't unravel structurally. And that's something that I think is really, really important. And my last kind of big point, overarching point for them too is, again, Rachel, we were talking about this before we started. The only thing that I think that the team will try to mentally and technically reset before they come back tomorrow for Switzerland is, I think we have to talk a little bit about the goaltending situation in terms of Klara Peslarova. This team believes in her. She is their number one. There's no question about it. But it's hard to say that there weren't some goals that happened today that I think she's going to want back, right? 2 5-hole goals
right.
that were, weakish. There's one where she drops her stick. She tries to get her shoulder up and it goes over her shoulder. I think for her, she's going to be upset at that. But I thought at many other points in the game, she was technically really sound. And I thought that she still came up with some really big clutch saves at various other points in the game. So I think if she mentally, technically resets between now and the time she plays, I don't anticipate she will start tomorrow morning. I actually think they'll give the net to Michaela Hesova, the Dartmouth goalie.
Right.
But we'll see. It'll be very interesting. Again, it's the first game. No need to panic.
Yeah, there's absolutely no need to panic. And I think it's important to at least get your secondary goaltender one game in the round robin when you're one of the top teams and you're going to make it, beyond into the quarterfinals, right? Like you just have to give those other players that experience, in my opinion.
Wait, Preston?
100%.
Oh, Preston, can you explain a little bit more about Peslarova, because she's a player that I had like limited experience of watching her, because I remembered her being really good in that 2025 Worlds. I'd heard that she'd had an injury. I haven't been able to watch much SDHL. I looked at her stats. Her stats seem kind of like average. So I just, as somebody who doesn't have very much context on her, can you maybe explain a little bit more about her game and where she's at and what you see for her in this tournament?
Sure, absolutely. I can only provide kind of what I know. I've chatted with Clara once or twice, very minimally, but nothing too crazy. But from what I know, we know before she came to Boston for the PWHL last year, she had just come back from a pretty crazy knee injury, I believe it was. And she stood out, right? She made some amazing performances with Boston. There was so much talk and speculation about whether or not she was going to get, who's going to sign her for the next season, you know, and then she makes the decision to go to the SDHL. And I think a lot of that really was spurred behind, this is an Olympic year. I want to be ready. I want to be 100%. And I don't want to be in an environment or in a league or in a place where maybe I'm not getting the minutes I want, or I'm not getting the shot counts that I need in order to feel at the top of my game. And she's getting that right now in the SDHL, right? I'm less concerned. I mean, you look at Brinos, her team in the SDHL right now, they're really, really good. They're in the top 2 teams in the league. And she's had some really great performances throughout the season. So I'm less concerned about her SDHL stats right now. I was more concerned about, does she physically and mentally feel ready for this tournament? And I think the answer to that is yes. I think she's probably more comfortable coming into it now than she would have been if she had gone to a Vancouver or Seattle and maybe had to fight again for starting minutes, right? But every player, has had to make a lot of these decisions, especially in some of these international teams where there are fringe players. They're not guaranteed to be top 6 or starting players in the PWHL. So they have to make these complicated decisions of what's best for me, and is what's best for me now to go back to Europe or go somewhere where I'm more supported, or I feel like I can reach my maximum potential in prep for this tournament, because we want a medal. I mean, at the end of the day, like, we're not here to go home 4th again, right?
Right.
We're here to get that bronze, or maybe even upset someone like a Canada or something. So,
yeah, and my take on her game is that she's really good when there's scrambly things happening net front, and it's sometimes when there's like a shot from mid distance, that's where she sometimes struggles. I don't know if you would agree with me on that, Preston, but I think that she just has, like, her vision is a little bit more close when she's playing.
Yeah, she's always been really fantastic up and close. She's really great when there's a scramble in front of the net or there's a loose puck. And I think that's why today's matchup is really interesting, or today's result is really interesting in the sense that, I don't typically see her give up goals where, there's a slight screen in a weak 5-hole. It happened twice. I believe it was Skamura twice for both those 5-hole goals. Right. So listen, she is a proven backbone for this team, this national program. They have given her the keys, the castle, metaphorically here, to take this team to the promised land of the Olympics. This team trusts her. Carla McLeod, I know for a fact, probably trusts her. I'm not worried about Klara Peslarova. If anything, I'm very, very happy with how the team performed overall today. And Clara's not going to be someone to let this hold her back. I think she's going to play really well, and she's got Finland and potentially Canada ahead. So this game's going to be forgotten about really quick in about 48 hours. So.
Yeah, and obviously Team USA has to do the same thing, right? Because in some ways they got lucky with some goals that maybe shouldn't have gone in. They got lucky with that missed call on the last goal that made it 5-1, of course. But they did play generally really well. This was a really good first matchup, in my opinion, for Team USA, because it's a good team, but it's not Canada, right? And so you're able to kind of ramp up to the Canada game in a really effective way against a tough team that's going to play well defensively, that's going to be physical, and allows you to kind of get your feet wet in the tournament. And it is interesting because we Erica and I talked on the show about the roster construction of having some newer to the Olympics players plus some of the veterans, and having a nice mix. And I really thought the way that Team USA was deployed was pretty successful in this game in terms of getting both of those kinds of players in the mix. But what's your take on that, Ava?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say something spicy. People might not like this, but when we say, oh, like, it was good for them to face Czechia because they're not Canada. First of all, I think Czechia looked maybe better. Okay, I think they maybe looked better than Canada in rivalry series, right? Canada didn't look good in rivalry series. So I was like, you know what? Like, if you compare it to that, it's like, hey, okay. And then
there's just a different kind of pressure and a different kind of atmosphere when USA plays Canada than Czechia. Oh, yeah. The hockey, is one thing, but like the atmosphere around it is another.
Yeah, that is true. Sorry, what was the original question? Oh, yeah. You know who I really liked was Tessa Janicki.
Mm-hmm.
And that fourth line. Yeah. I really liked Tessa Janicki. I don't know why. When I was watching it, it was every time I saw her do something, I'm like, whoa. So yeah, the depth from USA was unmatched.
It's almost easy for some people, I think, to forget about Tessa Janicki a little bit, if only because it's funny. My best friend Dan's gonna kill me when he hears me say this, but she plays at Penn State. He's a Penn State grad, and like it might be a little easy to like miss if you're not paying attention to like what's happening in the NCAA all the single time. But we're talking about Tessa Janicki, who scored the game-winning gold medal goal at the World Championships, right? So like, it doesn't surprise me that she's like showing up again in big situations, but I was also like really happy to see her be super successful today as well. I thought she looked really good.
Yeah, and she had a little over 14 minutes of ice time, right? Which is like not the most, not the least, but still, a little bit limited. And she made every minute count in this game. She comes out of it with 2 assists. Definitely one of the highlights for me. Obviously, Haley Skamura is now the queen of making use of limited ice time in your opportunities, right?
Yeah, I think USA's keys to the game were pretty clear, right? Like they controlled possession, which is what they're very good at. They forced a lot of long D zone shifts for Czechia, and they cashed in on special teams, right? Like at the end of the day, we can say all we want about missed calls or whatever the case may be, but they still capitalized on the opportunities that were given to them. I will say that's one thing that I was actually kind of impressed that Carla had done with the team was, one of the things that's played to Czechia for the last couple of years is way too many penalties in games, right? Like it's almost like Carla McLeod has come into the team and been like, all right, guys, we have to learn how to play really physical and keep up with these.
We are not Ottawa.
Right.
Just remember that. We are not.
It burned us a lot over the last couple of years when we would just get so many penalties because we've got girls who are like throwing other girls into the boards. Like I get it. I love it. I love the feistiness. I love the fire. But today I thought was actually better. I think we only took 2 penalties the entire game. And we actually looked okay, I thought, on our power play as well. But the United States, though, what separates the United States from some of these teams is that they don't miss when they get those opportunities, right? A team like Czechia has to be able to know that they can come into a game like this and they're going to get those, they're going to change the game and shift the momentum in small moments. And the United States doesn't have to try very hard to do that. So for them, I thought it was a very complete effort from them, from the US.
Yeah, and obviously, Hillary Knight was, I think, the focus of the broadcast in a lot of ways, but I think she backs it up. That's the thing about her. Is like all of the attention is well deserved and earned, and she proves it time and time and again. And getting the goal was important, but I think her all around play was really good throughout the game in terms of she's just always in a good spot. Like if you want to find the right spot on the ice, like she'll be there. She'll just be there. And I think, she's doing that in Seattle to some degree. It's a little bit different. This is kind of like all-star versus Seattle is, ups and downs there. But I think that's the thing she brings to the table is like she will find a way every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a Seattle Torrent fan, this one was great. I can't lie. Got Alex Carpenter, you got Hillary Knight, you got Hannah Bilka in the mix. I was like, let's go. Also, Annetta Teralova throwing hits. Like that was fun as a Seattle fan.
Yeah, we love to see it. What's great about the Hillary goal, though? I won't even lie. So, like, she doesn't even need to showcase like impressive speed anymore because she's just so smart. She knows how to handle the puck, right? She gets around and gets on the right side of Klara Soroyskova, who is a no-nonsense defenseman or defender in the Swiss league. And she's able to muscle her way past her and like roof that shot. And I was just like, I couldn't even be mad when that shot goes in, right? You're just like, she's the GOAT. Like, that's it. Like, there's no, I mean, it's her and Marie, of course, but like, I'm American, so I got to say it's Hillary, right? So like, it's, yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful effort. And she still got it.
Yeah. And also at the end, when it's like all the ice is spraying up and like the slow-mo, I'm like, this is just aura. This is just aura.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good opportunity to transition into the broadcast itself a little bit, since, you know, the three of us are watching remotely, unlike our Black Rosie leaders who are on the ground in Italy. But I think, you know, the broadcast had some of the typical nature of women's hockey broadcasts, where you had a lot of talk about men, and the men that the players are related to, the men the coaches are related to, the men's game. And don't love that. Don't love that at all.
Yeah.
Ava, this is your world. I'm ready for the fire takes here. I'm ready for you to chime in. Let's go.
I was watching with my mom, and I was telling my mom, like, I hate when they do this, you know? And I get it. Like, maybe if you're used to broadcasting men's hockey, this is kind of the information you already know. And this is maybe the information you think the viewers at home know. But yeah, I'm wondering what the Canadian broadcast was like, because I know that they have, you know, some more of like the PWHL staff working on that one. And then also they kept showing JD Vance, and my mom's like, why are they going back to JD Vance? And that's why I was kind of rooting for Czechia in that one, because I'm like, JD Vance doesn't deserve to see this, but it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot. I mean, I know a lot. I'm sure like the Kenzies and Cheryls of the world are over
Kenzie
on the Canada side. So like
every time Kenzie knocks it out of the park, love her.
Right. But you know, I do say, like, you know, these are avenues where you know, it would be nice to see the league have an opportunity to get some of their own media and communications talent into some of these bigger broadcast giants, right? Like an NBC. Like, I love AJ Malesko. You know, I love the American version, like the American announcers that they continuously use for women's games. But how great would it have been to have, you know, one or two of the PWHL announcers that could be on this to do an all-female broadcast or something, right? And I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility that they could have done. Now, I don't understand inherently what the PWHL's contract is for all the communications and what, you know, each individual broadcaster's, you know, ability is to, you know, go out and contract with these comms companies. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, for me, Kenny Albert, I was talking to you, Rachel, at the beginning of the game. You know, I was getting messages about, like, you know, here we go again, like, can't pronounce any of the names on Team Czechia, or like going back and forth on some of those names. You know, if you go, shout out to the Olympics for doing this. This is really cool. If you go to the roster page for every team, there's a little button, it looks like a little speaker. And if you click it, it's those players saying their actual names twice over back and forth. And it's an amazing way to learn the names. Like, if I'm a professional broadcaster and I know I'm going to be broadcasting international names, take 20 minutes out of your day, go to a back room and learn how to say some respectful way of saying those names, right? I know Czech and Slavic languages are tough, but I don't know. I feel like it would have been a little bit nicer to have not heard, you know, Taralova when they're talking about Aneta,
exactly,
right? Or you know, some of the other, you know, names that were kind of butchered. But at the end of the day, you know, these are learning moments, and these are things that, you know, we have to try to continue to get the message out there that, like, hey, we can be better.
Right. And Gabrielle is commenting on the YouTube live saying Blake Bolden and Gigi Marvin could have crushed, and I agree 100% there.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, would have loved that. But, you know, that being said, I think that it's obviously a USA slanted broadcast, but they were pretty honest about, like, the officiating I thought, in terms of when it wasn't exactly great. I thought the broadcasts that we saw on the feeds for the Sweden versus Germany game and the France versus Italy game, like really good overall in terms of balanced and informative broadcasts. It's just, for some reason, when they get the USA broadcast, it just, like, some of that nuance falls apart, and I wish it could be better in the grand scheme of things. But speaking of those other games, the 4-1 win of Sweden versus Germany, I thought Sweden played a really good game there. I'm a huge Sandra Abstreiter fan from a goaltending perspective. She had a tough assignment playing against Sweden and did the best she could. She made 33 saves on 37 shots with a ton of action net front there, but ultimately Sweden comes out on top with Lena Lundblom of the Montreal Victoire scoring twice in that one. A really good first game for Sweden.
This is a big day for Victoire. Let me just say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, I'm supposed to be as unbiased as possible, but I am, like, Ava's a Seattle fan and I am a Montreal Victoire fan, so I was pretty pumped.
Yeah, I love all my PWHL children equally, with maybe a minor bias for the Sirens just because I live here and I see them the most. But I do love all the PWHL teams quite.
Yeah, I know Ava is pretty pumped about a certain team, Italy, and their game over France today. I thought that game was just. It was so fun to watch and see the home crowd get into it.
Oh, they were in it. They were so
awesome.
in it. I loved it. It was an incredible atmosphere.
Yeah, I was just drinking the Olympics juice, like the magic of the Olympics, seeing the home team. And also, I didn't know anything about Italy. Like, I did not know anything about Italy. I thought they were just there because they were the host nation. And then it's like, nope, they're actually here to play. So that was really good.
Yeah, I saw that they had been doing some I think they home based their training camp leading up in Montreal, I believe it was. And so they've been training for a while. And I think the whole mentality for that team was like, hey, we've got talented players. But then, they did allude to it on the broadcast a little bit, which I was happy about, was that this whole concept of like having like a PWHL and having more structure in women's leagues overall is allowing some of these international players to like go play with the best of the best more frequently. And not only that, but just be around the best resources, the best, ways to get better. And it's allowing them the opportunity to compete on a higher level. So it doesn't surprise me that a team like Italy comes out and beats a team like France. I'm not saying they're going to go and beat Canada, or they're going to go beat, a bigger team. But I'll be interested to see like what happens when Italy plays Sweden, for example. That will be a really interesting matchup for me.
Yeah, and of course, like leading up to the games and it being on their home territory, they were going to want to show out, right? And so they were doing everything they could. We got a couple YouTube comments reminding us that Danielle Savageau is the mastermind behind this team and getting ready for the Olympics. So that is, of course, a big name. Yeah. So I think that is an important aspect of Team Italy's early success. But it's going to be a lot of fun to watch them throughout the tournament. Our friend Striatic over on YouTube asked the question about Team Canada's delay maybe being a disadvantage for them, kind of backloading their schedule because they're going to end up having a back-to-back of their last preliminary game versus their first quarterfinal game. What do you think, Preston?
I'm actually really not. I don't feel bad for the Team Canadas and USAs of the world because they're so good. But who I'm actually thinking about more so right now is I think this is going to affect Finland more. And I think, honestly, the reason I say that is what happens when Sweden, who I thought looked really good today against Germany, what happens when Sweden plays like a Finland in the quarterfinal or something, right? And I'm not, norovirus sucks. Like, it's not easy to come. Like, it's good. Those players are going to be tired. It could really derail their whole tournament in some way, shape, or form. There's a lot of players that were out on that roster that were listed as being sick. So I think if you're Finland, I think you're worried about what could happen here. Canada, I think Canada's the type of team that, like, those players are professionals. They know what they're doing. If anything, that's the more they play, the more momentum they're going to generate. And so I think watch out for those that have been doubting Team Canada because of their roster composition. I think Canada's in a really good spot, regardless of the delay.
Yeah, I agree. I think Finland has it worse, and we should feel bad for them and the illnesses going around. We look at their schedule, and even like playing a game on Saturday, which is scheduled against Team USA, coming back from this illness. First off, I don't want them getting Team USA sick, but also secondarily, like, that is going to be a really rough game for them.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just concerned about the whole situation. Like, not to speak of COVID, but this is just reminding me. I'm like, is this like COVID Olympics all over again? Like, we need to quarantine players. I don't want other players, even more players on Finland getting sick. I don't want players on other teams getting sick. So that was my first thought. I'm like, I just don't want people getting sick.
Exactly. Well, we do have like a day in between. Like I said, we're looking at the upcoming schedule for Friday's games. We have France versus Japan in Group B, and then your team Czechia is facing Switzerland. What do you think Czechia's got to do to win what I think will be a really competitive game?
I actually think we're gonna be all right. The last two games against Switzerland have gone very, very well for us. So I shout out Natalie Milinkova for the hat trick in the Worlds last year. Yeah, I think we're going to be all right. I mean, I do think this is a good opportunity for like a Michaela Hesova, the Dartmouth goalie, to get a game in against a team that, there's no reason why we shouldn't beat Switzerland. I don't see Switzerland as a huge threat, but they do have some great players. You got your Alina Muellers of the team that can still be dangerous when they want to be. But yeah, I think the Switzerland game will give us a chance to get some momentum back after today. And I'm glad that it's 24 hours later and we don't have that day break, because it allows us to kind of put the USA game to bed really, really quickly, get a victory tomorrow. And then, I'm not one to wish bad on my opponent at all, but as someone who has had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder for Team Finland, I'm not too upset if maybe they're not 100% when we play them in a couple of days. So we'll see how the rest of the tournament goes, but I hope we can come back with a big win tomorrow.
Yeah, and then let's take a look at the Saturday schedule as well here. Looking at it, we have Germany facing Japan, and then Sweden facing Italy. That should be a fun one, actually, especially with the home crowd. Like I mentioned, USA versus Finland, and then Canada's first game against Switzerland on Saturday. So a busy, busy Saturday for the tournament coming up. Ava, is there a particular game on Saturday that you're looking forward to the most?
I mean, I feel like there's so much suspense now for USA versus Finland, because I thought with Canada versus Finland originally being scheduled for today, I thought we were going to have some idea what this Finland team was going to look like. And now I still don't know. So there's so much mystery there, especially if some people are still ill. I don't really know what that situation is going to be. I hope they're ready to go on Saturday.
I do too. That is for sure. Yeah. Again, I'm interested in USA versus Finland for those very same reasons. I think Sweden versus Italy is my second choice here, again, because I have a special place in my heart for Team Sweden, but also the home crowd. I want to see what Italy does against a slightly maybe stronger team than they faced in the first game with France. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm so excited for this tournament. So much action. Excited to talk to both of you. Thanks, both of you, for showing up. Preston, where can people find you and the Czech Women's Hockey Report?
Yeah, of course. So there's an underscore on the @Czech Women's, but it's actually I believe it's actually after the hockey, not the W. So it's Czech W Hockey _report, or you can just look us up, Czech Women's Hockey Report on Instagram. We've got a website as well. I'm not as into the TikTok and everything else as Ava is. She's the social media queen for hockey, for women's hockey. So, but yeah, you can find us on Instagram, and we're always willing to talk shop on Czech hockey.
And Ava, where can people find you out there?
Thanks for the shout out, Preston. Yeah, I'm at 365_hockey girl on TikTok, Instagram, and I'm on YouTube. And if you hate social media, don't worry. I also have a newsletter now. So you can just subscribe to that. I send out emails. It has some links to my YouTube videos, and then it just has the writing from like what I'm saying in the videos.
And of course, follow Black Rosie Media on all of your social channels and here on YouTube. There's a ton of content that Erica and Jo are working on from Milan over the course of these Winter Olympics, not just hockey, but other stuff going on around the games. And we look forward to bringing that to you. And we'll be back for more women's hockey coverage as the tournament continues. Excited to bring that to you. Have a great rest of your day, y'all.
Great to see you both. Thanks, Ava. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.